Hello, my name is Noah Kong, and I will be analyzing a scene from The Piano. In this scene, George is watching Ada play the piano while also demanding her to lift up her skirt up in erotic pleasure. At this point in the story, Ada has made a deal with George that in order to keep her piano, she must teach him lessons. However, much of the lessons are George observing Ada play the piano, all the while developing a slow, intimate relationship with him and Ada.
Skirt. Lift it higher. 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 Lift it higher.
In the first shot, Ada is in clear focus in the foreground, where George is out of focus in the background. Ada is framed as a person who is observed by a male observer, all the while George is the one who brings attention to himself by asking Ada to lift up her skirt. The sound of the piano is constantly cut short as Ada hesitates George's demands of lifting her skirt. Her personal enjoyment cut off by a request of intimacy. We, the audience, are left to stew in the deafening silence as we see this uncomfortable eroticism unfold. The camera then slowly pans down as we follow George anxiously laying on his side to get a glimpse up Ada's dress. We see George's libido take over as his demands become aggressive. In the next shot, we see Ada's stoic face continuing to play as though George's requests simply pass her by. But then we hear George knocking on the piano off screen as he terribly wants Ada to lift her skirt higher. We get a brief shot of George breathlessly asking her again, until Ada finally lifts up her entire skirt. There is now an extreme close-up of the inside of her dress. It is a POV shot of George looking at her legs as we, the audience, become the participants in how we see Ada as a sexual object. But as we, the audience, start to become more like George, there is the close-up of Ada breathing a sigh as she continues to play, allowing a violation of herself washing over her. We cut back and forth to an extreme close-up of Ada's foot on the pedals of the piano, to an extreme close-up of George's finger touching an exposed piece of skin poking out of her stocking. We then cut to Ada's reaction to George touching her leg. It is as if the audience are just as allured by sexual drive as George is in this scene. We fixate on different parts of her body as we find ourselves becoming attracted to Ada's presence. This scene is an example of how Ada's autonomy as an individual is distilled to a mere product for a man to ogle over and express passion over a woman's body. While Ada and George's relationship will gradually become more tender and sexually active, this scene only demonstrates that Ada's body is something that will only be judged and fetishized by a man, regardless of her own independence.